but I look so good and bad. I was a good girl for so long. When people ask me what kind of music I play, they're asking me to put myself in a box of one of those little teeny tiny branches, and I don't like to do it. Or make a hybrid. I'm this soulful, folky, and I'm like, man, it's music. You want to call it roots music? You can call it roots music, but that's a pretty big tree. So, but you know, it covers a lot of ground, so it's really difficult for me to, to categorize. So I try not to. I was so good to you, babe, and I never messed around, not even once. In some ways, it definitely kind of it's an easy way for me to connect with the world because it's controllable, you know, and I'm much more sociable before and after a show and on stage than I really am in my normal life. So it is a way for me to learn how to play with other children, as it were. But I probably I could live without performing, but I really do enjoy it. I really enjoy. It feels to me an exchange of energy between me and a crowd, and when it's good, it's really, really, really beautiful. It feels it feels powerful. You feel a bit like a shaman or a, it can be religious. Yeah, it can take you. It can take me, and especially when I'm playing with other musicians and we have the interchange between ourselves, and then we have it from the audience and back to the audience. It can feel like a tribal kind of experience for us. I can get pretty wiped out or energized after a performance, depending on the audience. It's an interesting experience. Go find yourself a nice girl. Hope she's sweet as candy cane. I'll find myself a bad boy. I might even learn his name. I've been bad since he left me, but I look good in bad, you see. I feel like I honestly feel more akin and more spiritually a part of a lineage of writers than I do with a lineage of musicians. Is not to say that I play guitar okay, but I don't consider myself a guitarist, and I don't, and I'm a fine singer, and some singers are great musicians. I don't think I'm one of them. Nina Simone was an amazing musician, a great band leader. There's some singers who are really great musicians. I think I'm just a good singer, who has good instincts as a singer and good phrasing, but I'm not I'm not like a mad musical genius. I feel more like a writer. I feel more connected to other writers, and songwriting actually sort of is my, I love to sing. It feels very good. I love to perform, but writing is what makes me feel connected to the universe in a kind of special way. I've snuck into Eden in the hours before dawn. I've stolen the apples that dropped on your lawn. My spirit, my pride, and my innocence gone. Please, Mama, let me come home. Oh, Mama. When I was 16 years old, I fell madly, got this massive crush on this boy that I knew who wrote his own songs. And it was the first time it ever occurred to me that you're allowed to do that. You know what I mean? Like, you hear songs, you don't think about how they're constructed, and then when you meet someone who's a peer, especially someone you have a crush on, who can do it. And I got, kind of excited, by the idea. I think I fell in love with him, but really I was kind of falling in love with the idea of making songs. And I started, and he turned me on to Joni Mitchell, which was a pretty huge thing, because he was a big Joni Mitchell fan. So I started listening to a lot of Joni Mitchell and wanting to be a good songwriter, like really kind of inspired by people who could move another person with a beautifully written song. I'll do all the dishes and clean out your shed. I'll bring you the paper and coffee in bed. And I'll tell you great stories right out of my head. I'm coming from a place of pretty great privilege. But I think probably, I don't know what the percentage is, but for 80% of the women on this planet, maybe higher, being a woman is fucking shit show. It's horrible. It's just no rights and abuse and, it's just, it really, worse than slaves, just really women are treated really frickin' horribly in most of the world. And every time, all indicators show that the better a culture the higher women's status is in every culture, the more functional the culture is itself. And so I think it behooves everybody to, make sure women are paid equally for equal work and have control over their reproductive lives and, and can meaningfully contribute to the culture as they wish and they can equally. And it's, the fact that we live in a place where that, that's a sentence that, that everybody here is like, of course, is such a privilege, and even still, even in America, where it's actually a pretty good place to. It's not like being a woman here or in Denmark, but it's still comparatively a pretty great place to be a woman. The statistics about rape and domestic abuse are just horrifying. I mean, we're, yeah. In America, it's getting worse, like right now. So, because people are getting frightened. And women, when the shit hits the fan, women tend to get the brunt of it, It's my Amsterdam, I know that the world is a shit show, but I can't say that, I have more capability of doing anything more than a nurse does. You know what I mean? Or a good teacher. It's like you kind of, I could fool myself into saying my,
Everybody has his role.
Yeah, everybody has their role, and maybe my role is to, allow that nurse or that social worker or that doctor without borders who happens to like my music to get some comfort from it. I don't know. So they could do the real work, because in my opinion, they're doing the real work. Women who work at a battered women's shelter day after day for no money. They're the ones who are doing the real work. The most I can do is give them a little money when I can. They're and mention that they exist. But I don't have that big of a megaphone, man. I'm pretty small time. I'm not Bono. I got no audience with the Pope. I got no audience with the Pope. I'm just trying to pay my bills like everybody else, Whose flag will unfurl? Who'll bang the last girl? Who kicked the best ass at the end of the world? Who'll watch the last dawn? Who'll sing the last song? Who'll raise the last glass? There would be a reason that somebody in 1920-something would only play Mississippi blues. Because, if you were a black guy, that's what you listened to in the 20s. And if you were a white guy, you listened to, like, bluegrass or country or whatever the gospel music, and I'm like, I grew up listening to 40 different genres, and now it's even more so. Now it's like, if I was curious about what the music of Albania sounded like, I could find out on the computer in one click and know exactly what it sounds like and be influenced by it if I want it to be. So the idea that somebody would go, I'm just going to play bebop as it was played from 1958 to 1964 is like, really? Like, you're going to spend your whole life with that just one kind of little tiny, teeny tiny color. I mean, Don't get me wrong, expertise is a beautiful thing, and I'm a dilettante. You know, I know how to do a lot of things a little bit. You know, I'm a generalist big time, and it works for me. Like it doesn't, yeah, it wouldn't work for me to have one little narrow path.
Whose flag will unfurl? Who'll bang the last girl? Who kicked the best ass at the end of the world? Who watched the last on? Who sang
My motto about music appreciation is that I'm not terribly interested in music that doesn't make me want to dance, fuck, or cry. It's got to do one of those three things, or I'm usually not all that excited about it. So if you want to impress me with music, make sure it makes me do one of those three things. Yeah. That's my motto. Is that yeah? Dance, fuck, or cry.
holding me now?
I'm in love with what I don't know. I'm in love.